So good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is George Wright, and I am the president of Wright One Consulting. Thanks for taking a few minutes to look at our video on effective online meetings. Recently, with the events surrounding COVID-19, I've had a number of clients come to me and ask about how do we run these kinds of meetings more effectively. I'm an educator, I'm an instructor, I'm a coach, and so I use these technologies quite a bit. And so there are a couple of guidelines that I try to follow as much as possible if I'm going to run or facilitate any kind of meeting or remote training program. This video will not address issues of technology. However, I do have a recommendation. It's my personal opinion. I happen to like Zoom technology a great deal. This video is actually being recorded on Zoom technology. That's one of the great things about Zoom. You can record your meetings and then share them back later. It also is easy to use, it's simple, and if you're curious about it, there is a free version online you can try. There are limitations on that, but nonetheless, it's a great technology and I encourage its use. The others that I've used have not worked that well for me. So let's get into this idea about online meetings and how we can make them more effective, especially because we're going to be using these a lot more now. So when we think about it, hold on. When we think about the use of online meetings, and again, we're going to use these a lot more now as we get into working at home or working remotely. One of the first things I recommend to people is that there's an agenda that is set and that you have some guidelines that you are going to reinforce and share. So in other words, be prepared for this meeting. Don't just wing it. I've been involved with a lot of different kinds of meetings over the years. And now that we have remote meetings, I really suggest that you take the time, think it through. So what does that mean? Key talking points. What are the key talking points that need to be addressed during this meeting? What are you going to specifically talk about? Organize it, write it down, share it with your teams. As you do that also, what is your meeting structure going to be? How long are you going to meet for? When are you going to meet? How long do you want to plan to discuss each specific point? And online meetings are a little bit different, as you will probably find out over the next few weeks as we do more of these. So I'm really going to invite you to try some kind of meeting structure. So set it up so it can be effective. Let people know which teams and which team members are going to be in attendance. There's nothing worse than having to root through an invitation sent through Outlook to find out who's going to be in attendance. Please put that list out. That way, when people are curious, they know who's going to be there for that meeting. What is each member going to be responsible for? If a team's going to have full responsibility, it's their responsibility to figure out who individually will present that. However, if you're meeting with a group of people, what team members are responsible for bringing what to the meeting? Have accountability. Make sure people know that going into it. If you have any relevant documents, any files, any research, anything that you need to share, please share that well before the meeting. There's nothing worse than having to root through documents that are presented on the spot. It's distracting. It makes the meeting far less efficient. Now, with live meetings, we may be able to get away with that. With remote meetings, it is much more cumbersome. So I'm going to strongly recommend you do that. Also, assign a remote facilitator. Now, if you're leading these, please take this responsibility seriously. If you're going to facilitate this meeting, great. If you're not sure who's going to do that, assign one. Make sure one person is responsible. That person is responsible for guiding the conversation and keeping things on track. As you probably know, as I do, meetings get off track. And oftentimes when they're live and in a conference room or a room, we're okay with that. However, with these online meetings, it can be distracting. It can be a little bit more difficult. So I'm really going to encourage that facilitator, keep things on track, get people back on point. This individual also monitors participants. Make sure everyone is included. As we all know, people have different interpersonal styles. Some of us tend to be a little bit more perhaps introverted, although I don't like the word. And if you want to know more about that, contact me. And some of us tend to be a little bit more extroverted. Sometimes we extroverts can dominate meetings, leaving the introverts out on the sidelines because they're unsure, they don't want to contribute. This gets worse with online meetings. It's very easy for people to ghost an entire meeting. If you're facilitating the meeting, do not let that happen. Ask people pointed questions. Ask them to participate. Bring them forward. Ask them about their ideas and opinions. And we'll get back into that a little bit. What else do we want to do? We want to think about how we operate and work with each other during these meetings. Here's a big problem with them. We tend to speak over each other. Oftentimes, individuals on these meetings are trampling on one another. And it's easy to do, especially with a delay lag or a time difference. It's easy to do. I understand it. Well, someone take the lead. Listen to each other. If someone's speaking, try and back out of that. If someone starts and then someone else starts, oh, you go first, you go first. Someone just take the lead and then hand it off to that other person. Great way we can minimize this particular problem. Give everyone a chance to talk. As I mentioned, it's very easy for people to disappear during these meetings. Make small talk with people. Look, we're all going to be working remotely now for a while. Make small talk, catch up. How have things been going? Ask people where they are, how they're feeling, what's going on with them and their families. But also ask for feedback. Ask everyone to report in what they're working on. That gives everyone a chance to be engaged and involved. It's an important part of also keeping team dynamics together. There is also etiquette for this. Just like there's etiquette for regular meetings, please be aware of the etiquette for online meetings. Couple things. Test the technology first. Before you get online, make sure your technology is working. Just run a quick test. Maybe you connect with one member. Maybe you connect with someone else. Make sure it all works before you start out. Read the agenda, come prepared. Before you step into that meeting or dial in or whatever you're doing to the meeting, make sure that you know what's going on. Take the time, read the agenda, please come prepared. Know what you're responsible for. Prior to that meeting, if you've read the agenda, you know what you're accountable for, what you're responsible for. Make sure that that's ready to go. Please show up on time. Look, if we're working from home, and we're all basically maybe on lockdown, if I don't know what state you're in yet, if we're there, let's make sure that we're on time. I know it can be challenging. We're all frustrated. We're all stressed during this time, but please, let's make sure we do that. Introduce everyone at the meeting. Give everyone a chance to contribute right away. Maybe you want to go around. Please introduce yourselves. Tell us what you're working on something. Make sure people contribute. Pay attention during these meetings. Please keep your focus on the meeting, not on everything else. Have good posture. I've been involved with a number of online meetings over the past few weeks. And what I've noticed is sometimes people, when they're not involved or engaged, if you look at them, their posture is not that great. They're sliding off, they're slipping down. That also distracts them. You can't pay attention when you're doing that. Sit up, stay focused. Good idea. What else do we want to do? Slow it down. Slow it down. Online meetings are challenging enough. Speak low, speak loudly, speak slowly, speak clearly. That way people can understand you. Also, if you're the facilitator, you may want to think about, especially in a larger group, repeat a question someone had so everyone understands it. But please, let's do that. Don't stare at your phone while other people are presenting. It's bad etiquette in live meetings. It's even worse in these, and it's a big temptation. Let's not stare at our phones. Let's stay on point. Don't work on other tasks. If you wear glasses like I do for some of these online meetings, people can actually see the reflection of your email in those glasses. They know you're checking. Don't do that. Don't do other work. Don't say, oh, I'm just going to check online for a minute. I'm going to go and hop on and see what's going on in the world. Look, stay focused on this. It's going to keep the meeting going well. It'll keep it on point. Let's not be distracted by that stuff. Please don't interrupt people when they're speaking. Don't speak over them. This may be particularly difficult if you're dealing with a challenging topic, but please let other people speak. Slow this down, let them finish speaking, and then you may want to say, I'd like to have a point that I'd like to share with the group. Some way that way. I know it's a little odd to do it this way, but we are in a different era now, and so we want to make sure that we have good practice along with that. Don't eat or drink. Now, I recognize you may bring water, you may bring coffee. However, I was at a recent meeting where someone was eating during it, and although we could not see them, you could hear them chewing. Not the most pleasant meeting I've ever had to go to. They were also drinking through a straw, and they got to the bottom of their cup, and you know what happens there. So I really want to encourage people, let's not do that. Let's minimize that behavior while we're online. Make sure notifications are off. Make sure your phone is on silent. My wife and I last night were watching a town hall meeting with our elected officials that was posted up onto Facebook Live. And the interesting thing was the person doing the video of that off their phone did not turn off their notifications. Well, we heard every notification this person got. The mayor was cut off several times during the video because this person's phone was dinging. And even though people were giving this person feedback, they weren't paying attention. Look, turn that stuff off. Make sure everything is quiet so you can stay focused on that meeting. If you're the facilitator, let's follow up. As soon as the meeting is over, certainly by the end of that day, let's come back. Talk about deliverables and next steps. Who owes what to the group? Who owes what to who? What next steps we're taking? And make sure you have the responsibility for that attached. Make sure that you know who's going to be responsible for the task, the item, or the deliverable. Clearly delineate that in an email to the group. When those deliverables are due as well, please be specific. ASAP is not specificity. No, by next Wednesday is not specificity. No, by tomorrow, which is Wednesday, by 4 p.m. is specific. Make sure you have that. That way accountability is built in. People don't have wiggle room. So let's make sure we do that. Please make sure that you indicate when the next meeting or check-in will be. When do you plan to meet again? Again, specificity, date and time. Make sure people know they can be accountable for it. I hope these pointers have been of value to you as you move into this new virtual world that we're all going to be using. If you have any questions or comments or would like to talk to me directly, my contact points are on this slide. My email is there. You can also reach me through our website, which is rightoneconsulting.com, or you can also feel free to call me. Again, I hope that these were helpful. I look forward to talking with you again soon. I hope your families, your friends, your associates are all safe during this really challenging time. Thanks again. Have a good day.